and is in Boros. And interestingly enough, remember that Realm Right was in that pack that Brian passed, so Brian didn't take a rare over the True Fire Paladin. So in a sense, I think he kind of next leveled Ben there, passing True Fire Paladin. He kind of ship cut him.
It looks like he's got 3 Syndic of Tides in the deck, and I think at least 2 are in his hand. He may have all 3 in his hand. Does that look like triple Syndic?
That looks like triple Syndic. So we see a turn 2 Wasteland Viper from Ben Stark. Funnily enough, Ben Stark has a Homing Lightning in his hand.
Oh wow!
So I'm wondering we could see
a huge blowout. So a Slaughterhorn comes down for Ben Stark.
So the best thing is, I imagine Brian's going to play a Syndic and Extort here. The question is Ben patient enough to wait for the 3-for-1? Or is he going to slam on the 2-for-1?
Right, it's almost like, does he have a land drop, and maybe he could miss his land drop here and then not get it till next turn and when there's 3 Syndics on the board.
Brian extorts and trades life totals. Ben not going to block at all.
Yeah, I wonder why. So he missed his land drop.
Ben did?
I think so.
Yes.
Like, I don't think he has a land.
Oh my.
So this could
if Brian actually commits a 3rd, so Ben will play Skinbrand Goblin, he swings back. This could be...
Yeah, that could be the best missed land drop ever.
Yeah. If Brian makes that 3rd Plains, Syndic double Extort.
I mean, now, of course, Ben needs the land drop to be pretty close to the top.
I think this is happening. Oh man.
3rd Syndic of Tides, double Extort, and
Ben's just gotta be praying for a land on top of his deck right now.
Please land. There you see.
Yeah, Homing Lightning in his hand, only on 3 lands.
It's going to be a bonfire if he draws land, and he didn't.
Oh, there's just no justice.
I mean, that 4th land comes down. It's going to be a bonfire.
So Ben passes the turn. I think Ben's passing the turn because what he wants to do is give Brian a false sense of security.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't want Brian to keep swinging. As soon as he draws that lightning, this game just really will turn around. Or as soon as he draws the land for the lightning.
So on board, Braun Duin with a triple Syndic of Tides draw with his Boros deck, and finally finds a different creature in Warmind Infantry.
So now it's not a complete
bonfire. And he passes
bonfire.
back, and we didn't quite see what Ben drew there.
Not a land. Just no justice.
And he passes back, so stuck on 3 lands with a Homing Lightning in his hand against 3 Syndic of Tides. Ben Stark has a Slaughterhorn, a Wasteland Viper, and a Skinbrand Goblin, staying back to hold off those Syndics.
And we're going to see
a Boros Keyroom will come down for Brian, and yeah.
Ben's running out of time to draw that land.
Yeah, as huge as that's going to be.
And no, he hits Krokenura.
Yeah.
He'll make it.
This is...
what could have been an excellent story for Ben Stark turning into a nightmare.
Yeah.
Having the perfect answer, but
and a Boros Charm.
Boros Charm, double Extort, and that'll be lethal. Ben,
why?
Why do you never gets the 4th, never gets to see it yet. You can see on his face there. Just, okay.
The universe is so cruel.
Yep,
I really wanted to see the Homing Lightning. I mean, it's fine, Homing Lightning, then Brian wins the game. That would have been fine too. But Brian wins the game without giving us the satisfaction of
just
Homing Lightning. Although, you know what that does is sets things up for maybe it happening later in the match.
Well, Ben does have 2 Homing Lightnings.
Right, and Brian doesn't know he has any. So he potentially drops multiple of the same creatures. I mean, he does. I think the only multiple in his deck is 2 Syndic of Tides.
The 3
Syndic of Tides.
He has 2 Martial Glories he's also running. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
As far as creatures go, Syndic is the only one that's going to...
this actually is should be a decent matchup for Ben. It doesn't look like Brian's deck came together as strong as it looked there. He has 3 Syndics, but he's playing a lot of cards you typically wouldn't want in Boros. You know, he has a Debtor's Pulpit, a Zarichi Tiger, there's a Zarichi Tiger.
Cinder Elemental in
Cinder Elemental. He's running a Pit Fight. That's not exactly a great card in Boros. It's not, that fast Boros deck you expect. He has the Keyroom. That's not actually a very good card in Boros.
Right. It's probably the worst.
It's the worst Keyroom.
Worst Keyroom, or the worst the deck that at least wants a Keyroom.
Yeah. Right. So, Ben's creatures, figure to be a little bit bigger than Brian's because he's playing green. So this may be a matchup that he'd want. Remember, Ben is right now 1 loss. Brian has a loss and a draw. And Ben will be sending his back. Just no justice. Ugh.
Yeah, he is not having much luck. Well, I mean, not hitting your 4th land drop.
Yeah,
I guess
no,
it's not that.
Well, I mean, yeah, keeping the 3-lander. I think the dagger is just when you have such
Right,
a
when
perfect
you
card
know
in your
that
hand.
You're just like, wow, this guy's a triple Syndic of Tides, and I've got the perfect answer if I could just draw a land. I mean, that's entertainment for us.
Yeah, well, Brian has kept a 7, it looks.
And check out the 6-card hand of Ben Stark. And it's keepable. He goes with a forest on turn 1.
He has a forest, mountain. Your forest and mountain and creatures is probably gonna, about as good as he can hope for.
Goblin. Yep.
He does not have a 3rd land. He does have a he does have a 3rd land. He has 3rd land Krakenura, Primal Visitation, and it looks like
Is it a
Ember
Wildwood
Beast.
Reaver? Oh, okay. I must have seen the.
I'm a little bit of guesswork there. Also note Patrick Sullivan currently 1-0 with the Boros deck we just saw in draft.
Yeah.
Are you end up straight Boros?
Yes, it looked very, very much like it was just going to be straight Boros. So, Syndic of Tides for Brian, and then Ben on his turn attacks with Skinbrand Goblin and Krakenura.
Yeah, the question we're gonna have, and this was the question Ben and I were wondering, is evolving that Krakenura is still gonna be pretty difficult for Ben. If you can get up to Primal Visitation amount of the card figures, though, to be pretty good. Brian has a surprising lack of removal in his deck.
So Syndic of Tides comes in, and Krakenura gets in the way.
Trades with a Martial Glory. Brian misses his land.
And we have an Ember Beast from Ben Stark and a quick swing with the Skinbrand Goblin.
Yep, he also misses his land drops. So a little bit of a who can draw it first. Brian does not on his first attempt.
You see a Boros Charm in Brian's hand alongside. Well, there's a Skinbrand Goblin too.
Right, so what Brian's gonna try to do is trade with Skinbrand Goblin, and if Ben can't keep up the flow of creatures, then Ember Beast will stop being a card.
And we do find the 4th land for Ben Stark. And Ember Beast and Skinbrand Goblin into the red zone.
Brian will have to trade here with the Goblin.
Trade Goblins here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's that's his best option here. And Syndic stays back.
Interesting enough, Ben I think is bluffing the trick here.
Oh, maybe not. Is that a Slaughterhorn?
Burst of Strength.
Was it a?
It's a burst of strength there. Or no, Slaughterhorn. He discarded Slaughterhorn.
Must have been Slaughterhorn.
Yeah, it couldn't have been burst. That doesn't make any sense. Another Syndic drawn by Brian.
Well, Ben's got the mana for Homing Lightning at this point. Does he have the actual card? I don't think he does.
Yeah, I think it looks like Brian's just been a little too spent too many turns without the 3rd land. Will probably maybe if he gets one next turn he'll still be safe, but after that I don't think so.
Yeah, at this point, without a 3rd land, that Syndic is more often than not just Grizzly Bear.
And actually, the 5th land for Ben, a Primal Visitation, would be pretty strong right now.
Well,
yeah, he does have the Homing Lightning.
He has the Homing Lightning.
All right, so there is some
Syndic.
justice.
There was a little bit of, it wasn't as grand as the one we hoped to see in Game 1. But Game 2, Ben Stark successfully bonfires Brian's side of the board and with Homing Lightning, and Brian's just going to scoop him up. So we're going to Game 3 here. Ben Stark able to defeat the Boros deck in that particular game.
Right.
Yeah, Homing Lightning on double Syndic of Tides, but it's almost like he didn't need it because that game was just looking like it was going his way anyway. A Homing Lightning to catch up would have been much more exciting, like in Game 1.
So I've been looking at Brian's deck, and I'm trying to figure out what he first picked over the True Fire Paladin.
Right.
And in his deck, I don't think there's a single Boros card better than a True Fire Paladin.
Is there a chance he didn't expect?
Well, the rare was in the pack, which makes me think it could. The only thing I can figure out, and maybe I'll ask him about this later, is that he has, if there's a foil rare in the pack, it could have been a double rare pack. There is a biomass mutation in his board.
Okay.
It's possible he picked that over True Fire Paladin. Though, to be fair, that's not a pick I would have made. I still prefer True Fire in the situation. So yeah, I'm interested as to what he took. Maybe it was Syndic of Tides. I could see that happening.
Sure. Yeah, if he preferred to be, something.
Orzhov. Yeah, that's
Orzhov,
defensible.
Yeah. I'm taking a look at the list as well, so there's you don't first pick the Luminant Primordial.
Yeah, I don't think if I see any card I like more than True Fire Paladin, but there is one that Brian likes more than True Fire Paladin.
Apparently, we just have to figure out what it is.
Figure out which one it is. So with 40 minutes left around, these players are entering Game 3, which especially in this sort of matchup, isn't particularly surprising.
Maybe Foundry Champion? You know, maybe it was a foil.
Okay, yeah, there is a Founder Champion in there.
I mean, maybe, I don't think it's right, but, you know, Boros Charm, maybe? Just trying to think of the cards that maybe compete with that, but I still like Syndic even better than Boros Charm. All right, so again, Ben Stark is going to 6. It looks like Brian has kept his 7.
Yeah, so just a reminder, we are in our first round of draft here at the Grand Prix in Charlotte, the largest limited Grand Prix. But there's another Grand Prix going on this weekend. That one's in Quebec City. They are currently in round 3 of day 2. That's a standard tournament.
Who's at the top there?
At the top, we have a fair number of names. The last undefeated player is Nico Christiansen. Also, though, Star City writer Reed Duke. Current, Canadian Alexander Hayne also following at X1. Teammate of mine, David Gleischer, following as well.
Nice, all those guys right at the top there. Haven't gotten a chance to take a look at that coverage, but I'm excited to see what kind of crazy standard concoctions people are doing well with. Standard is an exciting format too.
All right, so here's our deciding game. Both players start. Ben starts out on a 1-drop. Brian, unsurprisingly, Syndic of Tides. Remember, he does have 3.
Wasteland Viper for Ben Stark on his first turn. And
Ben once again, it looks like Ben has a homing lightning in his hand. Remember, he does have 2. He's not just extraordinarily lucky. But this one will be Wojak Halberdier's Extort. So he's far more Viper or homing lightning proof this game.
Yeah. And he hits his 3rd land drop, which is always good. Ben finds his 3rd land and has a Slaughterhorn, passes back, so no combat just yet.
No, Ben's actually in a pretty good spot here. He has a Gore Clan Savager. Gore Clan 2/4.
Oh, the Scab Clan.
Scab Clan. Yeah, the 2/4, which is actually one of the best. That card is at its best against Boros. And as you can see here, it's really would lock down Brian's board.
Yeah, tough to get through. Nice creature on defense. So we look like a Zorichi Tiger, from Brian.
Yeah, that card is like I said that yesterday. It's a card I've really gained some appreciation for as I've been playing. I think this is the wrong matchup for it. I particularly like it against Orzhov decks, as it can really hurt their ability to win the game.
Their extorts are kind of negated. And a Slaughterhorn coming in for 3. And there's that Charger.
Gore Clan Charger. Or Scab Clan Charger. Yeah. It's from one of the clans.
Yeah, one of those. Gore, Scab.
So, Ben able to keep his life total very high. And Brian's going to need to find a way to break through these 2/4s. Or this 2/4 and the defensive board that Ben has.
Yeah, he could... He's going to need some sort of combat trick, Boros Charm, a Martial Glory. Nothing there.
Interestingly enough, and Brian may not know this, but because Ben's deck ended up fairly short on playables, Brian's in the unique position with Boros where he can play for the late game. I actually think Brian has the stronger late game. He has a Foundry Champion in his deck. He has 3 Syndic of Tides. He has the Zorichi Tiger. I think the later this game goes on, it favors Brian.
Yeah, a good point, yeah.
Yeah, normally you'd expect it to favor the Gruul deck. You'd expect Ben to start casting, Ruination Worms or Zertos Wines.
Right, he just doesn't have any of those.
Right.
Ember Beast for Ben, and then passes the turn back to Brian.
Brian has 2 lands, an Aerial Maneuver, and then an unknown card. It looks like he's flooding a little bit. That's not too bad with a Tiger and a Syndic of Tides. He should be able to make the most of this flood, but still something he would prefer to get through.
So Ember Beast has a Slaughterhorn to prod him into attacking there. So Slaughterhorn and Ember Beast in the red zone right now. Brian deciding whether or not he should try to block here. Looks like he wants to. He's got the Halberdiers in hand. He's going to put it in front of the Slaughterhorn.
Yeah, if he can make that trade here, then he's essentially only taking 1 damage a turn by virtue of the Zorichi Tiger. And on top of that, every spell he draws extorts. He essentially, Ben doesn't have a clock.
Yeah. So it looks like that was a trade, a successful trade. Halberdiers for Slaughterhorn and a Gyre Sage from Ben Stark just before passing back.
Another land from Brian.
And pass, yeah.
We see Wildwood Rebirth on Slaughterhorn. So Ben operating very well off 4 lands. Brian currently on 7 and running out of things to cast.
Nothing to cast with all those lands. So
And rather than
1, 2, 3. There's a Slaughterhorn.
I like that rather than blood rushing it, Ben's simply just casting more creatures.
Yeah. So Gyre Sage evolves, and Ben's just getting in with everybody that's not summoning.
He's taking advantage of the fact that Brian's stuck on mana, or stuck on spells. Brian has to be scared most of Skinbrand Goblin right now. If he blocks, say he blocks Zarichi Tiger to the 2/4, and then gets a Skinbrand Goblin, Brian will be in a very precarious spot.
Yeah, so in the red zone right now, we have Wasteland Viper, a 2/3 Gyre Sage, 2/4 Scab Clan Charger, and an Ember Beast, which is a 3/4.
I'm amused that Ben's the aggro deck and all 4 of his creatures have more toughness than power attacking right now.
That just means they're more likely to live through combat. So his Tiger looks like it's going to jump in front of the Scab Clan Mauler.
Yeah, despite the fact that he could get blown up by Skinbrand Goblin, Brian really doesn't have the luxury to play around this. And Syndic is possibly blocking Gyre Sage? That one confuses me. Brian does have, he has the aerial maneuver, it appears, up his sleeve.
So he's going to try to save his Syndic and get an Extort out of it as well.
He's going to kill the Gyre Sage because that card has the potential to grow. So basically just playing 1/1 in first strike. Ben does have the Skinbrand Goblin. I think we're gonna see that. And it's going to be on Gyre Sage.
Skinbrand Goblin, blood rushed onto the Gyre Sage.
Yeah, this is a guy you rarely see. You don't see him blood rushed as often because a lot of times, even at post blood rush, the creatures will still be trading. You know, it's not that big of a combat boost, but here it's just enough to be pretty good.
So Brian in a precarious situation here. He's got something.
Else? He has.
He's a Martial Glory, and he's going to Extort as well. So Martial Glory, save his Syndic.
Save Syndic, kill. He's either. He has the option to kill Gyre Sage. He went +3/+3 on the Syndic.
Did get a couple Extorts out of it. Managed to
miss the Kitty Cat activation.
But he didn't have the mana for it.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. He was 1 short. Yeah. Not missed as in like forgotten.
Yeah.
Missed as in couldn't do.
Exactly. So now Brian's turn yet again.
Just needs to stabilize. Remember, he has a pretty good life gain suite going on.
4 mana for a Key Rune with Extort. I mean, he's doing a pretty good job. He's up to 15 now.
Yeah,
like
he can trade the Key Rune with the Wasteland Viper. And okay, Ben, that trade I don't know how much I like there.
So just what was it?
He traded the Syndic for Slaughterhorn.
Swing with the Syndic and
yeah, and Ben. I think Ben's really happy to get that guy out of the way.
Yeah, and it looks like he has another Charger in hand.
Yeah, Ben's hand is pretty stacked. Ben has, it looks like a Scorchwalker, a Homing Lightning, and another Charger. Swing the team here. Brian can make the trade of Key Rune for Viper and get his life gain activation off if he'd like.
Charlie Sly for Morgan Jensen. Again, Charlie Sly, Morgan Jensen. Please make your way.
Looks like that's exactly what he's considering there.
Alternatively, he can trade the Key Rune for the Scab Clan. Yeah, for the Charger or the Viper, whichever one he wants. He probably would trade it for the Charger, but he's not going to trade it all. And a Blood Rush is going to happen from Ben.
Yeah, so Tiger gets in front of Charger, and I believe that was a Slaughterhorn.
It was another Charger.
The other Charger, that's right. So we've got a 4/8 Charger there on the board, and gets rid of the Tiger.
Brian in some trouble. He's being outspelled pretty hard. Brian has drawn 10 mana sources to Ben's 4. He's just having trouble capitalizing on that fact.
Well, it looks like Boros Key Rune's going to get into the fray.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to draw into... I don't know. The damage doesn't seem particularly relevant right now. He could draw Luminate Primordial is probably, I think, what is the card he'd really like to draw the most right now. He probably has to play to that. So
Ember Beast and Charger connect. Viper stays back.
Another land for Brian. This is just too many lands. There's not much he can do with it.
It looks like it's about half of his lands. How many is he playing? It looks like he's got 17. So it's almost
17,
half.
Yeah, 17 and a Key Rune. So a lot for a Boros deck.
He's got half of his mana sources. And again, looks like Charger and Ember Beast into the red zone. Viper stays back. And
is that third land? Another one for him?
Now Ben's a little flooded out, but at this point,
3
nothing.
more lands.
Wow,
so just lands for Brian. That's 11 lands from him in a Key Rune.
Yeah, 11
Nothing to be done.
of his 17 lands. That's brutal. I mean, sometimes it happens, but wow, that's brutal.
Ben Stark, like I said, not happy with his deck, but managing after one round to stay at X1.
Yeah.
Trying to get through his draft. If he can go X1 into the last draft, I think Ben Stark becomes one of the favorites to win the GP.
Yeah.